listen, we do birth work, women's health.
You've seen everybody. I see breasts like I see elbows. So I'm like, I don't even know it's happening anymore. I'm like,
that's the same way I am with vaginas.
Yeah.
Hey, Laborhood gang, we are so grateful for all of you to tune in and make this podcast so special. That's right. We truly appreciate your support, and we wanted to let you know about a way you can take that support to the next level. Absolutely. You can now become a supporter of the Laborhood Podcast by pledging a monthly reoccurring amount. You can help us continue our mission to advocate for and support birthing persons and their families. It's super easy to do. Just visit our website at www.thelaborhoodpod.com or check the description of this episode for the link. Your contributions help cover the cost of producing this podcast, reaching more people, and making a positive impact in maternal health care. So, if you're a person in a position to become a supporter, we would greatly appreciate it. Every little bit goes a long way. And remember, you're not just supporting the podcast and us, you're helping us create a safer and better birth experience for many people. Thank you for considering it, and thank you for being a part of the Laborhood family. Now let's dive into today's episode.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Laborhood Podcast. I am Bria, your nationally certified inpatient obstetrics labor and delivery nurse.
I'm Shay. I am your board certified nurse midwife.
And welcome to the Laborhood, where Shay and I discuss all things obstetrics from close to complete and everything in between. Everything in between. Here we are, season 3, kind of going through our postpartum journey. We talked about some things.
Right. We talked about some things.
We talked about some things. But today we have a very, 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 very special guest here with us today who's going to talk about something that's super important and the work that she's doing in the community to really change the narrative on Black women and breastfeeding. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest.
Welcome to the show, Miss Janiya.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Put your last name out there.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
I'm not going to say it.
There's lots of us now. Like, I like to look at myself as the original, but,
okay.
you know,
yes.
I see it spelled all sorts of different ways now, and I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Baby, I didn't know Shay could be spelled 19 different ways.
Many ways with apostrophes and hyphens.
Yeah. And a C. I've seen a lot of C's, like SC.
Yeah.
With a Z.
Okay, now
that's different.
Like CHEZ.
Now
like
that's
Shay. Like Shay Joey's. Like Paris.
Oh, yeah.
That's how the mother explained it to me.
Get real creative with the phonetics.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's new. But, okay. Nice.
That's how she said, because I was like, oh, Chaz.
I would have been so embarrassed.
She was like, no, Shay. And I said,
okay.
No, baby, my name is Shay.
Right.
This is Shay.
Right.
That's funny. But welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brian Shay.
Introduce yourself. Tell the folks about you.
Yeah.
All that good stuff.
All right. Well, I am Janiya. I am an international board certified lactation consultant and a certified lactation counselor. I have a background in speech pathology and audiology, and I became an IBCLC is what we call it. Probably back when you were in high school. But in 2014, I decided to transition out of speech therapy and into lactation. I always wanted to work with babies. I was working in geriatrics with the geriatric population, which is still heavily needed, right?
Yeah.
Because
right, absolutely.
I think that when you are a minority working in healthcare, when we're talking about underrepresented populations, oftentimes Black and brown folks are left out regardless of what field it is. Mm-hmm. But I felt like my impact could be greater in the maternity setting, right?
Yeah.
And
Welcome.
yeah, I was like, this is fun. But you know, like most Black women who get into these professions, it was because of my own experience. After I had my first child, that I decided to make the transition all the way from speech into human lactation, and I've had a really wonderful time. I've learned a lot. I've learned that there are very few people, less than 1.5% of IBCLCs are Black or African American within the United States. And this is when I sat for the board, but since then we've increased that number to less than 3%. So we're like gradually moving up, right?
Yes, I mean, every change is change, right?
Right. Every change is change. And I just love to see the direction that the work is heading in and showing individuals that Black women not only breastfeed, we can also be IBCLCs.
Yeah. Yes, love that. Got chills.
I love that. So you said IBCLC. Kind of tell us what that is.
Yeah.
Because I think some people, all they know about lactation is like in the hospital, taught me how to breastfeed, and that's it. But that's so much more than that.
Absolutely.
So much more than that.
Absolutely. So like, you know, our friend Meek Mill said, there's levels to this. So when I talk about it, I'm like, first of all, I say this on, you know, stages full of lactation professionals, and I'm always like, oh, they're going to hate me when I say this, but I don't think that you need certifications or credentials to help somebody nurse their baby. Because if we look back at it generationally and through time, we've always had women in the village who are helping other women birth and breastfeed their children, right?
Yeah.
But because the man want to put a price tag on everything, and westernized culture wants to place everything in the realm of like those ivory towers of education and saying, oh, you need to have these certifications and you need to have this degree in order to do this job, and now you can work in the profession, right?
Yeah.
So that's really not true. So there's a gamut of folks who can assist folks with lactation, right? So we have peer lactation support. So those are community folks who have had their own positive or negative breastfeeding experiences, and they're looking to educate and support people currently going through that journey, right? And then we have our folks who work in public health, such as our WIC breastfeeding peer counselors, again, having their own positive breastfeeding experience, and they are really out there supporting people from the public health standpoint with providing them with the education and knowing who to refer them out to for greater needs or concerns, right? Then we have our lactation educators or our lactation specialists.
I need to get a pen out so I can start taking
I don't even know I could like reference this to people. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, like it's the different levels, and they're out here doing the lactation education from the prenatal side and the postpartum side. Then we have our certified lactation counselors, and they're able to do a little bit more hands-on work. In some states, they are able to work in hospital settings, such as in New York and in Florida and in California. And then we have what they call like the gold standard of lactation, and that's your IBCLC, where it's an international license to support, educate, promote, and protect lactation. And so we're the ones who can come in, hey, this is what I see is happening. If, you know, we try all of these things and in 72 hours, things are still not looking good, let me bring in somebody else, because in the realm of lactation, we're not able to diagnose either. Gotcha. And so that's when we bring in our OBs. That's when we bring in our midwives. That's when we refer and rely on our peds and our pediatric dentistry folks, right? But we are considered the ones who can kind of run the gamut from everything from support to education to providing detailed feeding plans to get people to their feeding goals.
I had no idea.
If there was like a bubble above my head, it would be like the bomb where it's like, where your mind goes. That's what would be in mine. Because again, I think because I only work in the hospital setting.
Oh, yeah.
And all I know is I tried. I really tried.
Right. I tried to get that baby
here
on.
Sweating trying to get this baby on.
But I'm going to call somebody.
I'm going to have to call lactation. You know, and that's all I know. Which, I mean, I knew there was more, but I didn't know it was that much more. I didn't know it was that much more. That's so great.
Like you were saying, like that other people, which is what I think more people need, is just support.
Right.
People who have been in their shoes, who have experienced what they've experienced, and are willing to help other people not have the same experience. And I did not know that was actually like an actual resource for people. Like, now I feel better about recommending my patients to outside resources like that. I'm like, yo, that's for real. Okay.
Right. I love that. That's so good.
That is all right.
We can end the show right now.
Yeah, that's it. Ain't no more.
We've learned all the things.
Hey there, wonderful listeners. It's Bria here, one of your hosts for the Laborhood Podcast, and we've got some incredible news to share with you today. The Laborhood is now proudly a Kindred Bravely ambassador. But what's Kindred Bravely, you ask? Well, let me tell you about this amazing company that's all about supporting moms just like you. Kindred Bravely is a brand built on love that's poured into every single piece of clothing they create. Their meticulously designed clothes are here to make your journey through motherhood a little easier, from the bump to breastfeeding and beyond. Because let's face it, mama, you deserve to look and feel great all the time. Kindred Bravely understands that, and they're here for you every step of the way. Now, here's the exciting part. We have a special offer just for you, our incredible community. When you shop with Kindred Bravely using our unique code, you'll get an amazing 15% off your purchase. That's right, 15% off. So how do you claim this offer? It's simple. Just visit and use our code LaborhoodP15 and shop till you drop. At checkout, be sure to use the unique code LaborhoodP15 to unlock those savings.
Yes. So do you mind maybe touching on like your own personal experience with your first child and how that you kind of like what happened to you to kind of make you want to go into the field that you are in right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've had many of a geriatric pregnancy, right?
No. Because that's gonna be us.
Right? But I love it. Because I'm like, y'all better not write that on my chart. Like, y'all know that's wrong, right? And back in the day when I had it, it was like AMA. But like now we use those terms for other things. Now it's like geriatric pregnancy.
And I don't really like to use that.
Exactly.
I'm just over 30.
Right. I'm over 30.
I
had to get things done in my real life first, but
Right.
I had my first baby almost 17 years ago now, right?
Wow.
She don't look it.
Yeah, no.
Well, thank you.
Baby, when they say black don't crack.
I do. I have this thing and I'm like, hey, just because, you see me, I do represent as a black woman. I am a black woman. That's what I say. But I have another side to me too. So I always say black doesn't crack, Asian doesn't raisin. And so like, This is just where we are. Right?
And it does.
And it doesn't. It just don't.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
So like, think about that. Let that sit with you.
Yeah.
But 17 years ago, had my first baby, and that is when the hospital system that some of us currently work for was going through their baby-friendly initiation process. And in order to do so appropriately, you needed to update your marketing and ensure that your marketing was a reflection of the individuals who come to birth in that community hospital, right? So you know what they didn't have? Pictures of black people breastfeeding their children.
I believe that.
And because we worked there, they were like, hey, do you all mind if we take a picture of you breastfeeding your baby? And this is why. And I was like, okay, cool. I did not know this photo was going to happen 3 hours after I had my baby. But it was a great photo, right? It's a great photo. And they put it in place of the nursery because also with the baby-friendly movement, you had to get rid of the hospital nurseries. And so they hung this huge picture there. And ironically enough, my neighbor now, her picture was right next to mine. And from there, I would be out, shopping, minding my business at the Target. And other people who looked like me would come up and they say, hey, you're the lady in the picture that they gave me at the hospital, because I didn't know they also put this same photo in the breastfeeding pamphlets for this is what to expect when you go home with breastfeeding. And
they really marketed you. They really marketed you.
They agreed to all of this?
Yeah, I signed it.
Oh, okay.
I signed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I signed it, but when you work there.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Right.
They're welcome to tell you no.
Yeah.
And so they said, hey, I saw your picture. Was this you? And I'm like, yeah. So they start asking me questions, right, about breastfeeding. And I come from a family, my husband comes from a family where everyone's just breastfed. And we know that is not the norm for most folks who are Black and who are in America, right? And so I felt like these individuals deserved more evidence-based information, just pulling off my healthcare background in speech. And so I told my husband, I was like, hey, what if I went back to school for human lactation? He's like, Janiya, that is not a thing. And I was like, yeah, it is, because we have this thing too where like neither one of us are allowed to be in school at the same time, and he had just finished his master's. So I was like, let me go back to school again. And I found a program that had a master's for human lactation. So I went to that program, and I learned everything that I feel like it was that I needed to know to actually apply what I was giving these individuals as far as evidence-based information and advice was concerned. But then I noticed that nobody like me in the community was doing the work. And so from there, I started a support group called Mahogany Milk Support Group. And I was able to pull the ear of the VP or the CNO of the hospital at the time, who was another Black woman. And I said, hey, let me get my clinical hours at the hospital, because you don't have anybody in your hospital who looks like me doing this job. She did not know. She was unaware. And I was also unaware as a person who had given birth at this hospital, because I was like, oh, maybe she just works at night and I'm missing her. Like, look, for real, right?
I was going to say, because most women
of us
work at night.
Yeah. Right, so I was like, maybe sis work at night, and like I'm just not seeing her. No, sis did not work there because I am sis. And had to rewrite the job description as well. And in 2015, I became the first non-RN Black and youngest IBCLC at our hospital system. And since then, now we actually have more non-RN IBCLCs who have gone through Pathway 2 or educational track programs, working in our hospital setting, and I love that for us.
Yeah. Like, I'll just round of applause.
Right.
These sound effects.
But you have to realize 2015 is not that long ago.
It wasn't. It really wasn't.
That's not that long ago. Wow. And you were the first.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Thank you.
But you got to think, her being the first just less than 10 years ago, you kind of become a little bit sad, because it's like, how many people did you miss before that? Because,
Right. And there are great people, doing the work.
Like, absolutely.
My preceptors, they like, it was a time. It was a time. Nobody wanted to precept me. And then once they learned I had a background in speech, they were like, oh, well, we didn't know. Well, you didn't need to know.
Yeah. And
right?
why do I have to...
And why do I have to prove myself?
Right. Yeah. Why do I have to prove myself?
And upon receiving the job, I had 7 of them write a 5-page letter about why I should not have my job. And that Black woman who's the CNO, who no longer is there, and I can say this now, she gave me the letter, and she was like, and when you do something and you make more of you to help this hospital, I want you to frame this letter. And so now, not only in my office do I have that letter framed, I also have the picture that they put up in the wall, and I had to fight to get my picture too. But like, that's neither here nor there. I was like, y'all are wild.
Yeah. Yes. Oh.
And the crazy thing about it is, we were there.
We were.
Y'all
in
were.
That time.
You were.
We were.
We were there.
We were there. Have I got it? Okay.
Yeah.
We were all there together.
Yes, we were.
But y'all was at night.
We were.
And
we were. Yes, we were.
But I say that to say, like, knowing what I know now,
oh man,
like, if I could have applied that information back then,
it's never too late.
It's not. And that's what we're doing here. Like, that's why we have the podcast. That's why we have people like you. It really grinds my gears, low key, high key, because I feel like now it's like, I feel like I could have did more. I mean, I didn't know what I know now,
right?
In every capacity of that sense,
in every
capacity of that, and I didn't know like some of the barriers that we are still facing, but I didn't know them then.
Yeah,
but you're right. It's never too late.
It's never too late.
My wheels are turning.
Yeah,
my wheels are turning.
Yeah, and I always tell people, you don't have to be an expert in all things. you can be an expert in one thing. And if we both work at the top of our scope of practice, when our forces combine, like y'all too young to know about Captain Planet, but like that, but like that's like what my girlfriends who work in birth work say, like, hey, you know, we have a midwife, we have a ped, we have an OB, like I'm the LC. There's a few of us who are LCs now. We have a dietitian, like all of us are like, hey, have you seen X, Y, and Z? What do we do here? What do we do there? And that's what you do. You build your network of folks to like run these things through and buy and work together. So collaborative care is a thing.
No, listen.
Y'all know that.
Yes. Yes, very much
yes,
so.
It is. Yes,
very
it
much
is.
so. So being, you know, the first Black woman, first woman of color, how have you seen your presence make a difference in the world of lactation?
Yeah. Wow. So greater than that, so I have this thing where my father told me that every 5 years you should be moving in your work field, right? And so after year 4, I was like, I need to do something different. I need to do something different. And I've always loved being an educator as well, but I knew I didn't want to be like a teacher. And so I thought about, what if we created more Black and brown lactation consultants? Because at the time, we were only able to connect with each other. This is when social media was like really live and popping. And so like we kind of all got to know each other across the United States, and everybody was like, hey, what if we put these lactation programs at historically Black colleges and universities? Okay. Well, we know that HBCUs produce the greatest number of healthcare folks who are Black and brown, attorneys and engineers.
Yes.
Yep.
And so my alma mater, shout out to North Carolina A&T Aggie Pride.
All right. We're going to let her have it because she's a gift. We'll let her have it today.
I mean, I love a good ram. I do. But I said, you know what? What if we were able to receive grant funding and start these programs at HBCUs? And so that was my next thing to do, and that's what I'm still currently doing. And so we're now like 6 years in, and we've turned out the highest number of Black IBCLCs and culturally aware IBCLCs than any other program in the nation.
Wow. Look at that.
And so I get to see my work. So like when y'all see the majority of the Black lactation consultants that you work with now in your hospitals, I'm like, hey girl.
that's one of mine. That's one of mine right there.
There go my babies. I know y'all don't like everything that we come to say in disrupting systems, but you know, it needs to be done.
Yes.
It's necessary. It needs to be done, right? But I'm very proud of the work that not only I have done, and I can't say that I do this work alone. I have a lot of individuals who have been in places of power to assist with creating this change and movement, and a lot of people who are on the ground supporting me, from community members to individuals who make decisions at hospitals, folks in public health on a national level. Like I always tell people I play chess, not checkers. So,
as you should. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you have to, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because everybody else playing chess.
Hello. Everybody else is playing chess. You're exactly right.
And figure out if you're on the board.
Exactly. And so, and I always say too, there was this saying, and I have it framed in my office too by Shirley Chisholm: they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. And I always tell my students that once you make it and you have a key to get into that boardroom, you bring somebody from the community with you. And like legit, like I am notorious for showing up with a community member. And I'm like, I know y'all didn't ask them to come. Y'all asked me to come, but guess what? I'm not an expert in this community. So just ensuring that those barriers consistently are broken in order to provide more access to families who look like us.
Whew.
I love Black women.
I do.
You know that little clip from that social media? It's like, you know, Black women.
Black women.
When we come together, we shake the world.
Yeah, that's how I feel right That's how I feel right now. That's how I feel right now. I love that. I love that.
Hey there, Laborhood gang. It's Shay, one of your co-hosts from the Laborhood Podcast. We absolutely love our community, and this season we're excited to drop some amazing new pieces for the Laborhood shop. We've got everything from cozy t-shirts, handy tote bags, to stylish dad hats, and even bucket hats. Plus, check out our tumbler stickers and buttons to show off your Laborhood pride. And you cannot forget about a listener favorite. It's our free, that's right, I said free, birth preferences checklist, a special digital download to help you get organized for delivery. We're also rolling out a special line just for birth workers, our way of celebrating those who make a difference every day. Now, merchandise will be dropping throughout the season, so if you see something you love but it's not on the website yet, don't worry, it's on the way, we promise. The best way to stay updated, you ask? Join our email list for the latest drops and exclusive access, of course. Our Season 3 collection starts dropping on June 11th, so head over to our shop at thelaborhoodpod.com, grab your favorite items, and wear your Laborhood pride loud and proud. Thanks for being an amazing part of the Laborhood community. Now let's get back to the show.
I'm sure you have dozens of stories, or, even more than that. But, meeting they're not patients. What do you call your, is it what do you call your...
We call them patients.
Patients.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like to be correct.
Look.
Do you call them patients?
Yeah.
But, how has, I'm sure having a patient come in and maybe not having the best experience from a lactation clinic who doesn't look like them, and then coming to you. How...
A time is had.
Every
time a time is had.
Yeah.
So one thing that we did at North Carolina A&T for our human lactation program is I used to do outpatient lactation work, and I was like, oh snap, who's doing outpatient work in the community, right? I was like, let me go ahead and write this grant, because one thing your girl will do is write a grant.
Mm-hmm.
And so we wrote a grant, and it was heavily funded by a funder from the state, and we were able to launch an outpatient lactation clinic, and I was able to hire graduates of the program to run the clinic, and so now we actually get referrals from the hospital and the health department on a very, very consistent basis. The clinic has only been opened for 2 years on 2 days a week, and in the summers only 1 day a week for 6 hours a day. We've seen 192 patients in that time.
Wow.
And when people come in, they're like, this is the best thing ever. And so, a lot of our visits is, our first visit, and we see a lot of repeat patients. When we pulled those 197 numbers back, we looked, and we've seen 40 families in this past semester alone multiple times.
Wow.
Because people are just so put off by how they were treated in the hospital, and, people internalize those things, especially when you're very vulnerable in that postpartum period. You always think it was me. It was me. I'm the reason why this, or my body failed me. And it's like, no, girl, they didn't support you, and they didn't provide you with the education that was necessary or needed at the time. And I always tell people, y'all know patient care isn't cookie cutter.
Right.
So, you can't come in and this is the same 5 things that I'm going to tell you. Why?
Don't work like that.
Or the plans they giving people that don't work. Why would you tell a parent who has 3 children, one may be a special needs child or under the age of 2, to have some pumping plan that's not going to work? Why are we doing that? And did you involve the patient with their care plan? Hello, that's patient-centered care.
Yep.
Didn't we learn that? Maybe y'all didn't.
Now you know.
Now you know. And so Jessica runs our clinic, and when individuals leave, we have a social media page. It's NCAT _ human lactation on Instagram. And we get to hear back from the families, and they're like, this was a great experience. I got to cry. I was loved on. They fed me. They held my other children. We allow people to bring their younger children. We have toys. We have activities for those kids to do. We're going to do all the things. And we have connections to other individuals where we can provide that wraparound service to ensure also that their mental health needs are met. We've partnered up with individuals in Charlotte, Raising Resilience, and they specialize in postpartum mental health. They're also Aggies, sorry.
I feel like I've
Tiffany
just
and Whitney
ran on that page, like just posted something, reposted
not too long
something.
ago.
Yeah, not too long ago.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And we're like, hey y'all, here goes one. And it's just wonderful. And like the patients come back when like there's nothing wrong. Like I just need to come by and tell y'all thank you. I was able to make it. And it's just like, it's so awarding to see the difference that you've made in a family.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of where these two worlds kind of like mesh.
Yeah.
Because we sometimes get the same reaction from patients because they will talk about their past birth experience and they were like, this was so much different and so much better. Like, and it, you know, sometimes it gets tough doing the work that we do. Sometimes we're like, I'm about to leave the bed, so I'm not doing this no more.
Right.
And then you have that patient come in and it's like, they tell you how much of a difference this was and how much
I
better
know.
the experience was. And it's like,
I'm
all right, I'm
gonna
a little bit longer.
All right. I mean, I guess
I'll
I'm
give
out
it
here
one more
doing
year.
something.
One more year. I'm gonna give it one more year. You
Right.
know. So it's rewarding on, like you said, it's rewarding on both
Absolutely.
ends. Rewarding on both ends because you see the work that you're doing is not in vain. It's like, okay,
You're actually making a difference.
yes. Because again, we have talked about, you know, how even this has gotten harder.
Yeah.
And the minute we're about to be like, I ain't doing this no more, we get a DM and it's like, my daughter just had a baby and she listened to the podcast. She even took notes and like, she was like, and they will literally say, keep going. And it's like, God, man, all right. We'll keep going. Cause listen, it's been tough, but like those types of moments and it's like, okay,
That's the kind
the
of
work that we're
things
doing
keep us
is
going.
needed and we still need to keep going. We still need to keep going because it's needed.
Absolutely.
Oh, I love this. Okay. I feel like I've been talking a lot. I'm going to let Shay go.
Now, you were telling us about the P2 program.
Yeah.
Is it specifically for like students only? It sounds like more community people who are not related to healthcare at all can also take part in this program to become a lactation consultant. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Like, can you elaborate a little bit on that, on like who can participate?
Yeah, so anybody can participate. One thing that I did is we built the program, Chestnut Checkers, right? I knew from rewriting the job description in our local hospital system that I needed to produce graduate level lactation consultants. And so you do need to have an undergraduate degree in any discipline in order to apply for the program. And I've seen that work out very well with our first 2 cohorts who are currently in the workforce, where they're even being paid more because they're looking at this as it's a graduate program, right? Yeah. Although certificate, but at the graduate level, they're being paid more than individuals who've gone through just general certification processes, right? But anybody, as long as you have an undergraduate degree and you've taken the prerequisites outlined in the IBLC or the IBLCE webpage. I'm like, as far as the prerequisites are concerned, and just showing that you're passionate about this work, but also be ready and be open to have heavy DEI work poured into lactation. That's one thing that our program is really known for. In fact, we just wrapped up interviews for our 5th cohort this past week, and the individuals were like, you know what, I looked at other programs, but we saw that culturally, this is where I need to be if I'm going to grow and really do the work, because this is what's missing in public health, especially in birth work and especially in lactation, right? Yes. So that's who we're looking for. Anybody who wants to do this work. And also our program is not just building lactation consultants who are going to be inpatient or outpatient. I push my students to be research IBCLCs. I push my students to be advocates. I push my students to go into greater realms of public health, like with the World Health Organization or the CDC, and rewriting some of those protocols and policies that govern the NICU where most of our babies are. And so that's what our program is built on, and that's who we're looking for.
Yeah. That really is
true change agents.
You got to start at the top so that trickle down will happen.
Chestnut checkers.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, this is so great. I love this. This is so good. we talked about, of course, you know, what you do in the community. So we're going to maybe just like go back a little bit. And, you know, we talk about, there was, of course, there was way back. I don't want to say way back when because it makes me sound like I'm calling people old, but I'm just
it's okay.
young, so I don't know.
It's okay. It's okay.
In previous years,
in the past, of course, you know, breastfeeding was much more prevalent, especially, you know, with Black women, even dating all the way back to, you know, when we weren't considered a whole person and more so property. You know, we have you know, the mention of like wet nurses and, you know, of course, then there was that shift of, well, Black women don't breastfeed. They,
absolutely,
you know, they do formula.
Right.
And so following that history, we kind of have had to fight our way back to the forefront of being like
able to breastfeed and it not be.
I can distinctly remember, I have some older cousins who had children who are like in their 20s now, back in like 2001, probably like 2001 when they first had their children who are now graduates of A&T. It's so crazy to even think about. I remember when they were born. But I remember their mom breastfeeding, and to me that was what we call, no, we don't want to say crunchy granola, but you know, that was kind of like she's gonna
do what?
She gonna do what? Like, all I knew was you pour that water in that and shake it, and that's how you know. So that seemed like foreign,
right,
to someone. I mean, I was young, but I definitely remember, you know. And so it's like, how did we get from us being sought out and used for that,
absolutely,
to being the minority? Not minority.
No,
minority in the, you know, in
like,
this
field.
Yeah.
So I'm always like, we're reclaiming, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're always, as Black people, because of never mind.
Yeah. No.
But
listen. Yeah. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We're always going back and reclaiming the things that were already ours, or that we came here with, or that we taught people how to do. And so that's my thing. Like, I'm always like, that should be a shirt. Like, how you gonna tell me I can't do this and I taught you?
Okay. That blessed me.
Right.
The blueprint.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of the things that I'm doing now deal with research. And researching within the realm of public health. And in the Victorian era in Europe, wet nursing was actually a very high-paid profession, and it was white women breastfeeding, right? They did have slaves as well, nursing. But when we're talking about the transatlantic slave trade, they were like, oh, well, we can keep producing people and feeding. We don't have to feed our own children. We're going to have the slaves feed our children. And a lot of individuals who were enslaved, our ancestors, had their own children perish because they could not feed the master's child and their child on the same breast. And the physiology with breastfeeding, how it works is you have to empty the breast to continue making more milk. So if you were using one more frequently than the other, this one's automatically going to stop producing, where this one's going to keep flowing, right? And so people just not understanding that piece. And, you know, when generationally, I always say this, slavery was not that long ago, y'all.
It was
okay, because I know my great-great-grandma, and I seen her, and guess who she was born into? Slavery.
Yeah.
Right on that tail end of getting on up out of there.
Yeah.
And so, because we pass these things down, especially messages about healthcare in stories, it's like, oh, we didn't do that. We don't have to do that anymore. Because we are no longer a part of this system. And so that's when Black folks stopped seeing their ancestors breastfeeding. And then came in the Great Depression, right? And so with the Great Depression, we came about marketing for formula. And if you could formula feed your child, you had money. Only poor people breastfed. And that's where we're getting, and sometimes Black people have a way of putting a negative connotation on something when we don't want our children to do it. And I forget the book, but it was like, this is why, you know, sometimes Black mothers, you don't do that, you know, yelling at their children. And they were doing that to let the master know, hey, my child's not going to be able to do this for you anyway. Stay away from my child, in hopes that would happen. But like, we're passing along these messages about healthcare in the same way. Like, breastfeeding is nasty. And so in our minds, if it's nasty, nobody's going to want to do it. Right. So we're going to turn our families away from doing so. and giving them formula instead. But then what happened in the 70s, we learned to know more about breast milk and its components and the health benefits associated and related to it, right? And what people didn't know is wet nursing was also really established because the white man came over here and found out, hey, people from Africa who are coming over here, they're not as susceptible to malaria as we are. And so I'm wondering if it's something in that milk that can be passed down to my children to protect them from malaria. And guess what? It was. And that's how it started. But then it ended with us. Breastfeeding is nasty. Formula, oh, you have money if you're formula feeding and not breastfeeding. And in the 70s, that we ended on just now, about the health benefits being associated with breastfeeding. And now what we're seeing is a movement of us reclaiming breastfeeding. And we're seeing, hey, you know that lives of our children could be saved if we provided them with human milk. A research study went out in 2005 that said that almost 3,000 Black babies could be saved if they were given human milk in the first 72 hours of life. Whereas in the hospital settings, oftentimes Black women are being pushed formula instead of lactation support and education at 2-3 times the rate of our white counterparts, right? And so just seeing what can come of that as we're making more Black lactation consultants and having more programs geared towards supporting individuals who are Black and brown, who want to nurse their children successfully, and then seeing that pendulum change from formula to like breastfeeding. I think that we're gonna see it in like the next 10 years.
Oh yeah, I can already see it.
Yes,
I can already see it. And I've been working in labor and delivery almost 8 years.
Oh yeah, you are seeing it like
so
right there.
I can see it
it's turning the
turning.
corner.
I can see it turning very much so, because you see taking care of younger moms, and they're coming and be like, oh no, I breastfed my first 2, and I'm like, I know that's right, you know, and
they're breastfeeding for long periods of time. They're not just doing I come home and do it for a few weeks. No, they're breastfeeding their kids up to 2 years old. Yes. And I'm like, girl, you are a trooper.
I know that's right, girl. And it yes. But you know, it's funny that you said, we kind of like teach our kids.
Oh yeah,
those things, because I remember to this day, and this was years ago. Took care of this young mom. It was her first baby, and her mom was in the room. Which, you know, I have my own thoughts about that. But
love a good grandma.
Yeah. Oh goodness.
All the misinformation.
Yes. Look, you knew exactly where we
at. I gotta fight Big Mama too.
Yes. And that's exactly like she wanted to breastfeed.
Yep.
And you know me, okay, all right, let's do it. I'm gonna do everything I can to get this baby on. And those are always the babies that latch on. So it's like, but literally, her mom, these words verbatim said, I don't think you need to breastfeed because that baby's only gonna want you, and you're not gonna be able to find no babysitter.
Yep.
And I said,
yep.
Oh man, I said, don't say that. And I said, no. I said, no, that's not true.
Yeah.
Right. I said, that's not true at all. I said, what? And I looked at her. I said, what do you want to do? She said, I want to try breastfeeding. I said, then that's what we're gonna try.
Let's do it.
I said, that's what we're gonna try. And I was like, if she thinks that way, I know somebody else thinks that way and has been deterred from trying to breastfeed. Because when you are a young mom, and you know you have, you know, school, work, and you know you're gonna need daycare, babysitters, it's like that can really change your whole mind. And it's like, if I can just, you know, maybe I should just, you know, give formula.
Or they come in with the mindset like, I'm only gonna pump, I'm not gonna actually put my baby to the breast because I gotta go back to work. You know, like there are a lot of.
I'm like, girl, if you want to do it, I'll support you, but that's hard. Let me tell you why that's hard.
Hey there, Laborhood listeners. It's Bria, one of your co-hosts from the Laborhood Podcast. We're thrilled to introduce our new partner this season, Mom Cozy. Mom Cozy is all about empowering moms with comfort and quality. Since 2017, they've been creating high-quality maternity and nursing products designed for moms in mind. From their innovative breast pump bras to a full range of cozy maternity items, they're dedicated to making motherhood a bit easier and more comfortable. And guess what? We've got a special offer just for you. Use code THELABORHOOD for 10% off purchase, or click the link in today's episode description. That's right, 10% off on products that make you feel understood and supported when you use code THELABORHOOD at momcozy.com. So head over to momcozy.com/the Laborhood to get your discount today. Thanks for being part of the Laborhood community. And now, let's get back to the show.
So yeah, we do
is.
see those things.
It's hard. It is. Like and if even women who don't look like us, I've heard them talk about, they were like, that exclusively pumping.
Yeah.
They'll tell you, I did it. But I always tell people don't do it. It's like when you get a dog. It's like, yeah, I love my dog, but like, don't get a dog. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do it. Don't do it. And that's their thing. They're like, I did it, but I almost went crazy when I was doing it because it's so hard.
I've seen my best friend do it, and I was like, ooh, girl. But,
when you when you want to do it, you go right on ahead.
You go right on ahead and do that.
You can do it. Speaking of misinformation.
Yes. Yes. Love a good big mama.
Yes, we get that very early, just talking about feeding and different types of feeding and when we should be doing other things with feeding, and the baby is crying, and I just don't think that baby is getting full off that breast milk.
Oh my gosh.
And there, you might hear, maybe just need a little cereal.
Oh, Lord.
Put a little cereal on that baby bottle.
Put a little cereal
They'll
bottle.
sleep a little longer. You'll be able to get some more stuff done.
Yes.
Like, it'd be all right. You just not.
We messing up the microbiome already, and nobody asked for that to happen.
I said that one day on Facebook. People was like, "Nah, that's not."
Okay, don't believe it. Pull it up.
I said there's a correlation to all this asthma and allergy. Y'all not gonna
look. Yep.
See, I knew it. I knew it.
No, you're right. You're right. You're right. And Black people have higher incidences of what? Asthma, SIDS, childhood obesity.
Yeah.
Diabetes, types 1 and 2, heavy on the 2.
Yes.
High blood pressure, like all the things that breast milk has the ability to combat early on. And there's a lot of research now being done about the infant gut microbiome and just resetting the microbiome. Even like adults who have a lot of gastro issues, you know what they put them on? Cow's colostrum. And it's like $40. No, like it is like $40 an ounce.
An ounce?
An ounce, right.
I'm thinking like a container, or
nah,
I mean, not a container, but
like colostrum is expensive. And so like thinking about and when we're talking about milk is species specific. And so human milk, human baby, right? Cow's milk, human baby or human. So let's start lining that infant's gut with all the great things first. We don't need to put cereal in it. Those knockout bottles that were going around like a few years ago where people...
said, that baby needs a straw and a spoon to get
First
that
of
out
all, who baby gonna aspirate?
It's
all of them.
Have you ever seen one?
Oh, it's
girl,
ridiculous.
It's so much stuff in
it
that
looked
bottle.
like applesauce with like oatmeal.
It's like
and
yogurt.
Juice.
It's all kinds of stuff in it.
Because
I said, that baby's going to be in a coma.
Yeah. No wonder they call it a knockout bottle.
That baby going to be in the ED. Okay?
Thick.
That's what the baby going to be.
I said, how is it getting it through the nipple?
They cut a hole. They make the hole thicker. Like, we do a lot of teen breastfeeding support. And they were like, hey, we're hearing about these knockout bottles to get more sleep. And that's when I have to pull on like what evidence says. Y'all, evidence actually says that parents who breastfeed their babies actually get more sleep than people who formula feed. Because there's a formula to formula, and people aren't doing what they're supposed to according to the guidelines set by the CDC. It's supposed to be a certain amount of powder, and then the temperature of the water is what people are not paying attention to. Because there's C. Sasaki bacteria that grows, it's a bacteria that grows in powdered infant formula. That's why hospitals outside of fortified milk and NICUs are not legally able to have powdered formula. It has to be liquid formula, because you can catch a lawsuit real quick if somebody mixes that bad boy up incorrectly.
I ain't never thought about that. I've always thought about they always have bottles readily available.
Yeah,
I
that's
thought
why,
it was
girl.
like a convenience thing.
No, girl.
I never knew.
That's why. We ain't catching that lawsuit. Okay?
On the head.
They're not catching that lawsuit. But like when I see like moms and dads pour like just bottled water out of their bag,
I've seen that.
like the formula, I'm like, yo. And like you don't want to stop somebody from like feeding their kid ever.
Right.
Especially if you don't have a relationship with them, because there's a way to deliver a message. But I just want everybody to be educated, because so many of our babies die anyway from crazy things. That's like one more thing, especially when we saw like the formula recalls going on. That's why there was bacteria growing in that. right? And so we're not supposed to give a baby anything outside of breast milk or liquid formula made properly for the first 6 months of life. We don't need no water. We don't need applesauce. We don't need no cereal. Cereal.
Can you say the 6 months of life
to 6
part?
months of life.
Okay.
Baby should not be, let's give the baby a turkey leg. You know how we do, right?
Some of this chicken
That's
bone.
why I said,
Why us as a people, and that's something also that lactations do. We're infant feeding specialists, so the buck does not stop at nursing with us. We know a lot about supplemental feedings and complementary feedings too, and when to appropriately introduce those based on the growth and development of your baby, not what the pediatrician said. Oh, my baby's 4 months now, I can feed it. But is your baby sitting up independently?
You know,
Is your baby still like a tripod?
I did read that in the book. Where when we're talking about like where even like weight gain and things like that, how weight gain was based on a formula fed
baby.
Yes.
Also, who was probably a white man in Nebraska who is now 5'5".
Correct.
Because I say that all the time. I'm like, so we just gonna like follow this chart for what? Why?
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Absolutely not.
Listen. I love breaking down the walls.
I also love black women because, like, when we were talking about the formula, everybody was like, you know.
Yeah. We know exactly what you're talking about. You put your finger on that nipple.
We all did the same hand movement in here.
Because we know what it is. We know what it is. Oh, my gosh. I've learned so much.
I have too.
I'm about to keep this footage just to, like, play back whenever
Y'all
the
are
time
so
was. Like, you know, let me
funny.
what did she say about, this? But
I just, yeah. Wow. Okay.
You learned so much.
You learned so much.
But that's so interesting. Okay, I knew what I was gonna say. I had a thought, but when you talk about like the biomentum, is that what you said?
Oh, the microbiome. Yeah.
Well, even like I can distinctly remember having coworkers who had like psoriasis on her elbow.
Put some breast milk on it.
She would be like, let me just get like a spoonful of your breast milk.
Absolutely.
And within that our three shifts, she was like, no, look.
It's gone.
Gone.
Yes.
I said, oh, okay. I see what's going on here.
Yeah.
Which made me make the connection when we were talking about like cereal and stuff. I was like,
they're not getting that.
I was like, there's no way.
Cereal's empty calories anyway.
I said, there's no way. And when I was like, why are we seeing so many kids with asthma? I was like, I say, y'all, I'm going to have to find it, but there is a connection in giving these babies cereal so early, and we're seeing 5, 6, 7-year-olds who can't even play on the playground because they have asthma. And I'm like,
yeah,
what's going on?
Or even the ones that your 4-year-old now weighs 120-something pounds.
That baby weight messes me.
Yes. And then they wonder why later in life, like, oh, well, I had high blood pressure at 19. Right. Or, like,
yeah.
Or, also, too, everybody loves a chunky baby, right? But, like, babies will get chunky on their own, y'all.
Baby, I've seen breast milk chunkify.
Oh,
some baby.
I have a baby that looked like he was 3 months old at 1 month, and, like, he was exclusively breastfed.
Yes.
And I think that people are like, oh, we got to feed the baby, right? Guess what? The baby's going to get fed. The baby's going to grow. The baby's going to grow at their rate. And I think you all were talking about, like grandmothers saying, oh, the baby's not going to get fed off of that breast milk.
That's what I was thinking.
I tell people,
like perception
those belly balls, I walk around with them. I'm like, this is how big a baby's stomach is. If you stretch this out, the baby's going to get used to it. Then the baby's going to cry. Then y'all know what y'all going to say? The baby got colic. Well, y'all gave the baby colic.
Also,
it's your fault.
Right. I'd be like, you would cry too if your stomach was hurting all the time. That's the only way they can communicate.
Baby, listen. Baby. I got so much that I'm like bottling that, like suppressing right now.
I do, but I'm big on explaining how big the baby's stomach actually
is.
Because I think when you see that bottle,
you're
like,
oh,
it's
baby
like
all of it.
And
And it's like, no.
Yeah, they've seen the bottle. And it's like, that's how much the baby needs. I said, oh, no.
Your baby's tummy is the size of a small
said
grape.
it-
A small grape.
I said it don't take much to give. It don't take much to feel full. It don't take much. It doesn't take much.
And assess the cues. If your baby is like, all right, I don't want this no more.
Right.
I don't want this no more. Don't keep giving it to them.
Right.
Yes.
Don't get given, because they're going to think, okay, she wants me to eat more, so I'm going to eat more, and they don't need more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm like, yo, baby is full.
Yes.
Like, stop.
Yes.
Stop.
And then they're like, oh, but I have so much more milk.
Yeah. And then we can hand express. We can pump. You know, depending on, like, we don't want to throw you into, like, oversupply and have your body thinking it's feeding twins. But there are ways to make your breast comfortable in between those nursing sessions or those feedings. And we don't do a really good job of that at all. And, like, you're right, those 2-ounce bottles, even me, before I started doing this work, I was like, oh, this is what we're supposed to feed the baby, right? No, you know what I do? I go in the room. I take a Sharpie. I have a Sharpie attached to my bag.
Same.
And I
put
mark
a
it.
Yep.
Or I'll pour it into, like, one of the little colostrum cups. I'm like, this is how much you need to feed your baby. This right here is what your baby should be eating next week. 2 ounces. And it's like,
yeah, I do. I put if you ask for formula, by all means, I will not deny you that.
Right.
But I'm going to make sure I put not past this line.
Right.
Not
now,
past this line.
I don't do a Sharpie, but I'm going to start doing that.
Oh,
but
girl,
I will
yes.
be like, you see this right here?
They
don't
remember.
need more than that.
Yeah.
Get that Sharpie.
You know, I got the little mini.
Yep, me
and
too. Me too.
And I put that mark not past
this
I said,
line.
They might act like
they want it.
They gonna hop. They
Right.
might. But I said
Do other
don't.
things, skin to skin.
Yes, I said put them up here and
Comfort.
do
Let your baby
pat,
suck
pat,
on your
pat.
finger.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Do a pat, pat, pat. I said do
Okay.
not, because we're gonna have spitting up.
Yes.
And then you got infants with acid reflux.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I said ain't no
And
way.
you
all
wonder
y'all
why
babies-
they spitting up all the
I said
time.
no way. All these babies have acid reflux.
No.
I said I never heard that before. Never heard that before. I said we got somebody getting overfed. 'Cause
Yeah.
I get reflux too when I eat too much.
Yeah. Some babies have reflux because of, like, some oral aversion things, but a lot of it is we've overfed the baby. And let's not.
And then we laid it down.
Oh, gosh.
Baby, no wonder it's coming back up.
And I explain, like, I don't even do Thanksgiving, but, like, most people do. So I'm like, it's like you fed your baby Thanksgiving, and then you fed your baby Thanksgiving again. And then you laid your baby down for a nap because your baby had the itis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. So, like,
No wonder.
would you want somebody to do that to you?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So many myths, y'all. So many myths.
So
and, like, the
many
pumping
myths.
and dumping, and you can't take this, you can't take that, you can't drink. Yes, you can. Have a great
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
did
Go
not
ahead.
say, right. But
Don't pour
I'm,
that down the sink.
right.
Yeah.
I'm like, y'all, come on.
Yeah. And that was a big thing. Like, when that came out, I was like,
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yes. And people are like, oh, well, I can't. I don't know. Girl.
I need it.
Right.
Girl.
And there's other.
Take this shot.
Drink this.
Yeah, pump your
We
milk
are not
first.
alcoholics.
Pump your
So,
milk
like,
first.
Yeah.
Wait
We don't
2
promote-
hours.
We don't promote
Right.
irresponsible drinking.
Right,
But,
right,
like,
Right. Have a great time,
you
sis.
can have fun. You can have fun.
Right.
And you can also use that milk in other ways. Put
Oh,
it in-
yeah.
Put it in the baby bath.
on your psoriasis.
On your
Yeah.
psoriasis.
That eczema that's about to flare up in the winter, girl,
Yeah.
put it on there. A
Oh,
little
and when you're,
pink eye,
yeah,
spread it
that's what I was
in
going to say. I had a dad who was like, I don't want to hold my baby. I'm getting pink eye. And I was like, can I have some of your wife's breast milk? And she was looking at me like, what you about to do?
Yeah.
And we put it in his eye. We put it in his eye 2 hours later. Never surfaced. And he was like, yo.
Yeah.
That's what
We've
y'all-
had coworkers. Listen, somebody's getting pink eye. Come here.
Yep.
Just a little
bit.
A little.
Just
Okay,
a
no, we're
little
not
bit.
actually doing that, but
She did, but
Right,
I ain't got.
right,
I mean,
right.
ain't nothing gonna come out of here.
I'm
but
just,
like,
we
yeah,
can we'll put it on a spoon.
Right.
What's
Right.
in your eye?
Put in a medicine dropper.
Yeah,
Not a
put
curved
it in
tip
your
syringe.
eye.
There we go. There we go. We're not just popping breast out at the desk.
Right. Right. Why would we do that?
That's real.
Right? Knowing
Crazy.
good and well.
We've seen a lot of each other.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
Especially at night. We've
Right.
seen a lot of each other.
And, like, it's so crazy. Like, one time I walked in the room and I was like, I've seen everybody's breast in this room.
Yes.
I've seen everybody's titties.
Yes.
in this room.
Everybody.
Everybody
This is
too.
Yep.
crazy. This
Yep.
is so crazy.
Yep. It's a
We-
good time.
Listen, we do birth work, women's health.
Yeah, you've seen everybody.
You've
And,
seen
like,
everybody.
I see breasts like I see elbows.
Li-
So I'm like, I don't even
Same.
know it's happening
Listen.
anymore. I'm like,
That's the same way I am with vaginas.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
bro, like,
Yeah.
Do you
Okay.
remember, girl? I don't care.
I don't care.
I don't remember
Right.
nothing.
Right,
I
right.
don't remember.
I don't.
Exactly.
Don't remember.
No.
Even the more significant ones, I'd be like, I can't
no.
even tell you what
Right.
what's so distinct about
Right.
it. Like, I don't know. I see so many. It's
Yep.
just like, girl, I don't know.
An elbow.
Yeah,
And
it,
elbow.
literally, I'm gonna start saying that, girl. I see them like elbows.
I see them like elbows.
Everybody got one. It's
Right.
Everybody got one. Everybody got one.
Exactly.
Hey there, Laborhood gang. It's Shay, one of your co-hosts of the Laborhood Podcast. We're so excited to share one of our partners with you, Hello Bello. Hello Bello is a game changer for your baby and parenting needs. Co-founded by Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard, Hello Bello believes there's no such thing as other people's children, and we love just that philosophy. Hello Bello offers premium baby care, personal care, and household products at affordable prices because they believe that every child deserves the best. Here's something special just for you, our amazing listeners. You can get an exclusive $15 off your purchase using the code THEL or by using our referral link in this episode's description. It's a win-win. You get to enjoy Hello Bello's premium products at an even better price, and by using our code THEL, you're supporting the Laborhood Podcast. So just head on over to hellobello.com and start shopping and saving. Now let's get back to today's episode.
Well, I feel like we have learned so much and broken down
have.
so many myths and barriers. And again, you know, we don't want to get up here and be like, well, breast is the only way that you should be able to feed. Okay, no, because
Right.
we went through that too, and we saw this huge decline in women's mental health postpartum because they were so focused on this is how I have to do it, and if I don't do this, then this is gonna happen, or I'm a failure. And it's like, no, but we just want you to feel supported in whatever choice you make, and make sure that you're making an informed decision if you do decide to go either way.
Yes.
You know.
And also, don't project whatever your choice was onto somebody else.
Yeah.
And whatever their choice is, that's their choice.
Right.
We see it so often how you get in these Facebook mom groups and it's like, oh, well, I supplemented just a little bit, whatever. And then you're such a bad mom. You're a terrible person.
How could you feed your baby that? Like, well, girl, I'm starving. What you want me to do?
Right.
What you want me to do?
Or vice versa. Like, I chose to breastfeed, and it's, what you doing that for? Or what gets me is I bottle fed my kids, and they turned out fine.
Well, I mean, true, but
Right.
that's
Mother-in-law, sit down.
There's not one way to do this.
Right.
There's more than one way to skin a cat.
Absolutely. And this, even, you know, lactation, it's not linear. It's all these different ways, these different avenues. And like you said, lactation doesn't just stop at, you know, breastfeeding or formula feeding. You guys go well beyond that.
What would you say? You said complementary feeding?
Yeah, complementary feeding.
Never heard that before.
I like that term.
So it's like the breast milk and then the food after that and the early food gain, like the purees, it's complementing the rest of the feeding. Yeah, so like they work together. So we do the milk first, and then we do the food, and then after 12 months we do the food first, and then the milk complements the food. So like we know like all these things, and like people look at us as like boob specialists.
Yeah.
Like we're really infant feeding therapists is what I really think we are. And we're also like a lot of mental health too, but you're exactly right. I tell people all the time, breastfeeding is not an all or nothing. We just published an article in a nursing journal that's getting ready to come out, the team at A&T and I, and it was really about, you know, doing what's best at your address. And I say that my best friend's little sister is a nurse. And we have this saying within our friend circle is do what's best at your address. What works for you works for you. It may not work for me. But you know what we are over here? Happy. So like if you need to formula feed your baby, formula feed your baby. Educate yourself on it. If you want to breastfeed your baby. If you want to combo feed, people don't know that this is such a thing. Like I have so many young people come to me and they're like, oh, I have WIC, so I'm going to formula feed. And I'm like, you do know they give you packages to do both, right? And they're like, oh, I have to just choose one? No, you don't have to just choose one.
I learned that literally like 2 weeks ago.
This ain't red pill,
2
blue
weeks ago,
pill.
I
I was going to say, I didn't know that. And by you saying that, because I always ask, like, you know, are you using community resources like WIC and food stamps and that kind of thing? But it never dawned on me that people like, oh, because I have it, I have to use it.
No, that's not it.
I did. I learned that like 2 weeks ago. And at this particular hospital that I'm at now, their lactation consultant, she was like, they think they have to choose one or the other because they have weak. She said, it's unfortunate because it's the way that I think the form is presented to them and how it's worded that they think like, oh, I have to pick this one in order to get like a certain like resource or a certain amount of something. She was like, but they don't know they don't have to pick that one and they can do both.
Yeah. Like, I think that we heavy on like revamping public health marketing. I was talking to the individuals who actually do the marketing for WIC and the other day, and we were like, hey, we gotta package this better so that people have a better understanding, and then also dispelling these myths too in the Black community, because some people are too proud, right? Always too proud for something. And they're like, oh, I don't qualify for WIC. And they do. And I'm like, hey, I don't need government assistance. WIC is a federally funded program. It is not government assistance. And people don't know that.
You tell me I can get some.
Listen. I will run and there's a tool, like anybody can go onto the website and put in the calculator of like how many people are living in their household, what their annual household income or monthly income is, and you can see if you qualify for WIC or not. And I'm just like, why are we not using this, y'all? Why are we not using this?
Well, you always hear about like, this is a whole different topic, but like pregnancy Medicaid and like, oh, I can't get pregnancy Medicaid and blah 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 blah. A lot of people don't realize that you can, even if you have insurance.
Yep, secondary insurance is the thing.
Yes, like you still can get Medicaid.
Right.
Sorry,
that's a whole nother show.
Right,
that's a whole nother show.
Right. Yes.
We're vegan off.
Listen.
Look, we're gonna have to have you back.
Yeah, we're gonna have you back.
We're gonna have to have you back.
We got something, other things we need to talk about. But I love how much information you have shared. I know me and Shay I have learned so much. Just right here at the end, we'll let you, shout out your social media, tell people what how they can get in touch with you, how they can apply to the program. Like,
absolutely.
Tell them all the things.
Absolutely, y'all. So you can follow the program at NCAT__ human lactation on Instagram. You can also follow me at Mahogany Milk on Instagram. And then for our listeners who are seeking lactation support or advice, we also are very inclusive. We don't come in here with somebody's trans. They don't call themselves a mom, and we don't care. You're feeding your baby. So we're here to help you. And that's Mahogany Milk Support Group. It is a closed Facebook group. We have over 20 IBCLCs in the group now who are Black or brown, making sure that we're giving out evidence-based information. We don't let people mom or parent shame in our group, and there are rules. So please answer them questions, because if you don't answer them questions, the admins will not be letting you in.
Yeah.
So,
and if you get in there and act a fool, they're gonna
you're gonna be kicked out.
We remove you swiftly.
Yes.
We remove you swiftly.
Expeditiously.
Yep. Let us show you to the door.
Yeah. You got to get up out of here.
Right.
Got to get up out of here. Right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. As always, of course, for the Laborhood, you can follow us at the Laborhood Pod. You would think I got
the Laborhood Pod. That's why I was like, I'm just gonna say it with her since you stopped.
Pod. You can follow us at the Laborhood Pod on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, all the things.
You can join us on our website at www.thelaborhoodpod.com.
Yes.
As well as follow us on YouTube.
But yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much for joining us, guys. We'll see y'all next time.